Truth, propaganda. How do you tell the difference? And how do you know who is using it? I'll give you a hint. Besides censoring anything they don't agree with, it's probably not looking for facts. Rosie the Riveter here, dropping more truth bombs to destroy propaganda and fake news. In my last video, I talked about Voice of America, a truth-telling news outlet America used to combat Hitler's propaganda machine. However, Roosevelt, who called for America to build the organization, really wanted to use it for fake news like Hitler was doing. Fortunately, advisors talked him out of it, instead publishing truth and facts. I'll put a link to that video in the description box below. While Voice of America remained true to truth, government was still attracted to propaganda. In 1948, Congress passed the Smith-Moot Act, giving the State Department the authority to use propaganda as a form of public diplomacy in foreign nations. However, the propaganda was strictly prohibited from being used against Americans. This prompted the CIA to start something called Operation Mockingbird. As part of this program, the CIA bribed journalists and institutions across the globe to collect information and shape public opinion by manipulating the news media. Carl Bernstein of Watergate fame broke the story in 1977, reporting that the CIA recruited and paid journalists to write fake stories. The CIA eventually admitted no less than 400 journalists participated, along with 25 large media organizations worldwide. But Rosie, what's wrong with that? Don't we need to lie to our enemies to protect our country? For argument's sake, I'll give you that, America. But in 2012, Congress turned that propaganda machine on us. They passed the National Defense Authorization Act, which Obama signed into law, that contained a provision buried deep within it that repealed the Smith-Moot Act, removing the restrictions against propagandizing Americans. With this little bit of information, is it no wonder we question the mainstream media today? Do you ever wonder how so much information gets leaked into the media by anonymous sources and whistleblowers? Just look at Trump's 4 years in office. Media was dominated by anonymous sources and leakers, which is where they obtained their information about the so-called Russian collusion, Trump's Ukraine call and call to Georgia Governor Kemp, and January 6th, which they often published before Congress was even briefed. They unapologetically twisted his comments on MS-13 illegals, COVID-19, the Wuhan, and hydroxychloroquine. Yet, with all these stories, it turned out that Trump was right and the media was lying. So how does all this propaganda get into our media? Well, Nancy Pelosi described it to us in 2017.
And it's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic, and it's self-evident.
Naturally, conservatives quickly shared her comments and saying she was describing what Democrats do. Desperately needing to label these accusations false, fact checkers quickly pointed out Nancy was answering a question and describing what Republicans do, not admitting Democratic tactics. but they never denied the wrap-up smear campaigns. Come on! Are we to believe the media would help anyone accusing Democrats in a smear campaign? Ask Tara Reid, who accused Biden of sexual assault and has evidence. How about John Paul Mac Isaac? He's the repairman who revealed Hunter Biden's laptop. The FBI not only rejected him, they and other government agencies harassed him to the point of bankruptcy, while the media suppressed the story, which has now been confirmed to be 100% true. Mac is now suing them for defamation. You probably don't know those names, do you? But how about Anita Hill and Christina Blasey Ford? These women were praised as strong, courageous, and amazing heroes, even though there was no evidence or corroboration to any of their accusations against the conservative justice nominees at the time. Remember Alexander Vindman? He's the lieutenant colonel who pushed the Ukraine quid pro quo call allegations. Well, turns out he lied about that call. He made it all up. But yeah, the wrap-up smear campaign is a Republican tactic. Right, media? Right, Nancy? Yeah. Here's the kicker. Her clip is from 2017. Thanks to Durham's 2 cases so far, we now know the Democrats, led by Hillary Clinton, Obama, and Biden, and the media did the exact same thing to Trump. Hillary's campaign bought and paid for the infamous Steele dossier, which was leaked to the press and led to a 2.5-year investigation by Mueller. It has now been proven without a doubt that it was 100% propaganda. Also, Hillary approved leaking the Russia Alpha Bank allegations to the media to hurt Trump. The media published it, and then the lawmakers called for investigations, which led to more articles. The wrap-up smear. Nancy would have known this when she made her statement. Projection much, Nancy? Knowing how the deep state uses leaks to push propaganda, the fact Durham has kept his investigations completely confidential for 5 years is actually quite mind-boggling. We'll see how that plays out. Ever since progressive Woodrow Wilson decided to pony up to the press to get positive coverage, they have always favored Democrats. The media completely hid Roosevelt's polio just as they are today with Biden's dementia, ignoring and censoring the evidence as they did with FDR. However, Trump slowly walks down a slippery ramp, and the media spends days questioning his health. Yeah, guys, I'm not so sure you have much credibility in claiming the Republicans are the ones using wrap-up smears. The media continues to claim Obama did not allow propaganda with that law. Watch my video on racism in 21st century America, and you might think otherwise. The link is in the description box. The media also says TruthSocial and Elon Musk are threats to democracy. But since we now know without a doubt that the government and the Biden administration have been working with social media platforms and Google to censor opposing voices, as well as their association with China, and this whole propaganda machine is becoming amazingly clear, don't you think? Now can you see why Trump has been so adamant in calling the mainstream media fake news? As I stated in my last video about Voice of America, TruthSocial, Elon's Twitter, Rumble, and other social media platforms that are coming up are this generation's voice of America, or voice of truth. The Operation Mockingbird media, along with Facebook, old Twitter, and YouTube, are imploding on themselves. We just have to not get weary. We must stay in the game, keep fighting, and keep praying as our republic depends on it. But don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Find out the truth for yourself. Go look for it. It's out there. It's the American way. I'm Rosie the Riveter, and that's my 2 cents. But what do you think? Leave your comments down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can see new videos when they are uploaded. You can find all my videos and liberating letters, along with links to hundreds of articles fighting fake news and propaganda, including the ones I referenced in this video on thefaxpaper.com. Don't lose heart. We are winning. We will be great again. We can do it.